Yes. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today is the 30th of April, and so there's no 1st of May. Sorry, 1st of May is tomorrow. It's the 31st of April. And I think we're still continuing with our mock interviews after this. So I plan to add a few more, but depending on how we progress. Basics on maybe Selenium. And then we will also talk about some framework concepts. Then we can go into Java, but I'll do a lot of focus on JUnit and TestNG too. So I can do some random questions on these as well, but I think it's better to go in a little bit more a planned manner. So the way we are approaching JPACT members, everyone, it's very simple. We are going through questions and you're all trying to fill in answers and different perspectives. And I'm not correcting anyone at this point, if you please notice. It is all up to you, how you want to present and what we're talking. Maybe other members can comment, can take on the same question and repeat. The idea is to get a perspective that is good enough, and then we can create a decent answer to it. Okay? All right, so the questions are in front of you. Anyone would love to take these questions, please raise your hand in the GoToWebinar. I'll make you unmuted. And if any of these questions want you to share your screen, you can show me by drawing a diagram as well. Take these sessions very, very interactive and seriously, team. It will really help us. And I'm so sorry and apologize for starting this session late. So leave me with that. In the end, I will make sure that you're all, I'll be very easy on asking questions. So let's go, team. I'm going to take up questions. I want your hands raised. You all want to start answering? This is an important one. So let us say the same question, I'm going to ask it a little different, please. So it's not just manual versus automation project estimation. We're talking about also manual estimation. What happens? How do we, what comes into play? Automation, process, and estimation. So this can be a little broader answer, but the specific details that go into it are the same. Think of it like a formula. F of the different parameters that go into creating the output. So we are talking about what those parameters are. Who are the team members, what they have to work on, what are the skill levels, that's one thing. But when it comes to the application, how do we size it? How do we look at the data or API side, the complexities? So all those things are there. Yes, please, anyone? First question, that's the one. I know I'm talking about this so that we can also go into a little of automation here. Or any of these. Team, I'm expecting hands raised. Is it too early or late? JPACT members, what's the issue? Okay. How about the other question? What are different ceremonies, please, and their importance in Scrum? I'll go back to those manual testing questions still. Some major principles of Agile testing. What are the skills of a good Agile tester? These four answers, in fact, can be spoken as into one, not necessarily ceremonies. Hello, audience. team? I just see one hand raised from Geeta. Geeta, yes, please.
Okay.
I'm going to unmute you as well.
Hi, Karthik.
And hello. Who's this, Madhuri or Geeta?
This is Geeta.
Yes, Geeta. Go ahead, please.
I would like to take 10th one. Ceremony is in an importance of
Sure.
There are 4 to 5 ceremonies I remember. There are like grooming meeting, where we all the team members are groomed by BAs or product owners about the stories, coming stories. And the other one is sprint planning, where Scrum Master is going to conduct this to have, which stories we are going to pick and what is the estimations for that. And who are the persons who are taking which stories. All those discussions will be discussed in sprint planning. How many stories we are going to take in that particular sprint. The other meeting is daily Scrum meeting. Next one is daily Scrum meeting. Stand-ups, daily Scrum meeting or stand-up, we can say. So where it is like 15 minutes time, where we discuss what we have done and what are the challenges and any roadblocks, any communications related to the stories we are working on. So each team member will give their update on that on daily basis. The next one is a demo, sprint demo. In this, end of each sprint day, which is 15th day, I can say it starts from Wednesday and ends at after 2 weeks. It ends at Tuesday. So on that day, we'll have a sprint demo where we provide all the test results to the team and the stakeholders, product owner and other project team will be available.
Only on the test. I'm sorry, I should increase this font out here.
Are you able to hear me, or you want me to increase the sound?
I can hear you.
Oh, you are talking about the font.
The only thing is, give a demo on the test reports and activities. But
yes, test results.
So you dev, right?
Yes. This is a sprint demo. I mean, in demo, we provide only test results. So the other activity is retrospective meeting. In retrospective meeting, we will discuss what went wrong, what went good on that particular sprint, and do we have any accolades from anybody? So is there any suggestions or discussions? What are the discussions point about that particular sprint? So there might be any inputs from developer or QA, whoever it is. So what is the improvements we can make? So those are the things we discuss there. And we also discuss the major challenges of that particular sprint.
Okay. And how soon do the sessions happen? So I know that daily Scrum meeting is almost a daily thing.
Yeah, daily thing, 15 minutes. It may extend 5 or 10 minutes, depends on the need, but generally it would be like 15 minutes, quick meeting. And demo would be like for half an hour to 1 hour, depending on the number of stories we have. So
after each sprint.
right. Retrospective would be like
sprint planning.
Sprint planning, it is like 30 minutes. 30 minutes to 1 hour again. And even a retrospective, it would be like 30 minutes, not more than that.
And all these are done once in a sprint cycle.
Yes. And even grooming also. Even grooming also, it would be like 30 minutes. It would be like 1 hour.
Grooming also is happening once, right?
Once in a sprint. Yeah.
Grooming can be longer.
Yeah, 30 minutes to each 1 hour. 1 hour.
Yeah. Okay.
So for grooming meeting, it is not necessary PA or product owner is grooming us for the same stories we are going to take in the same sprint. Those may be the items which we are discussing in grooming meeting may come in later sprints also. So it is always not necessary that we are going to have that grooming meeting for the same stories we are working in the same current sprint.
Okay, sure.
That's all.
Very good answer. Thank you so much. Thank you. Madhuri, yes, please. And Divya, I'll unmute you too. If you want, you can speak on the answers. Yes, quite Madhuri.
Hello. Hi, Karthik.
Yes, please.
Answer the skills of good agile tester. What are the skills of a good agile? Number 12.
Yep.
So, good communication skills.
Okay.
Creative thinking and programming, like some programming knowledge.
Okay.
And automation.
Yes, go ahead, please. Going.
That's all I have.
Sure. Anyone else to add to a good agile test?
Interpersonal skills.
I'll put all in communication. From me, communication is written, spoken, shown as well. Though we are all working from home, remotely, whatever be it, we have to be able to present ourselves, video cams, virtually too. So how is that? Overall communication will come there. So interpersonal skills, I'll put it under that.
Okay.
Right. What else? And can you give examples of any of these? I mean, coding automation. Does every agile tester have a coding automation? Still is a question. Hello. You're all unmuted at your end.
Hello.
Divya, you give me an answer to something. Hi, who's this? Yeah. Divya?
Hello, Karthik, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I would like to answer.
Is my audio okay, everyone?
Yeah, Karthik.
Yes, Karthik, it's good.
Okay. Divya, your voice was good and it's now little taken away.
Okay.
Answer about the tester responsibilities. Is it clear right now, Karthik?
It's clear now.
Yeah, firstly, he needs to understand the application and the test, and usually we have to do the formal testing, just like executing the test cases with the Excel and writing it. Informal, and the next it comes to the informal testing. Without the use of the Excel, the informal testing will be done by the testers.
Mm-hmm.
And retesting is also done by the testers. If there is any defects, uh, we have to report to the development team so that they would be going to take care of that. Mm. And as well as they need to develop and execute the automation test itself. And as a tester, we need to develop the test
Execute?
report.
What was that last one?
As a
We had
tester,
that
we need
mentioned the last.
to execute automation testing, execute and developing the automation. Yeah, yeah.
What else?
And when it comes to the increment, I don't know, is it increment or increment model? I don't know the question exactly. So in the increment model, it's not
The
testing.
question, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to the incremental model, those are of three types: RAD model and prototype and spiral model. So usually for the bigger
Mm.
projects, increment model will be going to be preferably the used. So for bigger projects, they're going to be divided into smaller chunks or just like modules. So for each and every module, they are going to allot separate team members. I mean, just like team member schedules. So after that, they're going to put together the total project itself.
Keep going.
Um, when it comes to the prototype model, the requirements are not clear by the client itself. So the development team or the tester team will going to prepare the sample prototype. If it is okay by the what if it is okay by the I mean, if the feedback is good by the customer, I mean, from the customer, so they will going to be continue, or else they're going to take more requirements from the client itself.
Sure.
Yeah, spiral model. It used for business model. I mean, for maintenance projects. So for maintenance projects, when it comes under the business, so the requirements are going to update daily wise. So according to that requirements and updates, the development team and the tester team will be going to be work under the spiral model itself.
Anyone wants? Yes. Keep going. Any other things you want? You mentioned three, right? What were the other two models?
A rapid model and prototype model, spiral model, Karthik. Yeah.
So how do we differentiate among them primarily?
So for spiral model, usually they prefer for maintenance projects. For a rapid model, it is used for the bigger size of applications. And the prototype model, when the requirements are not clear by the customers, so the development team will prepare just like sample structure, and it will be going to be handed over to the client. If it is okay, they're going to proceed further itself.
Okay. Anyone else would like to add this?
That's it, Karthik, from my side. Thank you.
Sure, Divya, you're most welcome. Anyone else wants to add to this increment? What is the term increment and how do we do it? Let me know. Or any other questions too? And team, wherever possible, let us give a little scenario. So that will help. So some of these that are coming, they come well as a concept theory, but how about your projects? So you should little try and talk about that. There are all the hands for the other questions. How about a planning pro or a Scrum poke? Anyone? And common metrics for Agile. And team, are you looking at this document, trying to fill in that line, some of the answers? You have to collaborate, team. The only way you can master these tools is slowly starting to collaborate with everyone. See, for example, it is very easy to be only focused on short things, but only when you collaborate as a team, write your answers, speak your answers all the time like you're doing right now. That is when you'll be able to actually get into good interviews from the. So please feel very comfortable in our sessions here. Why you didn't raise your hand? There you go, please. Yes, Manasa, I unmuted you.
Yeah, Karthik, I would like to give some pointers on planning poker, the estimating technique.
Sure.
Yeah, planning poker is like it's an estimating technique in Agile, which is based on a mutual consensus kind of thing. Like it's especially done in the iteration planning meetings, usually under the guidance of an Agile coach. What happens is usually in a cross-functional team, there are as you know, there are like developers, testers. We had UX also actually in the part of our team, business analysts and product owners. So all of us together.
Hello. Am I audible? Did I lose anyone else? Or only Manasa? Team, can you tell me if you lost me?
No, Karthik, you're audible.
Okay. We will lose Manasa then, maybe. Okay. Yeah, she went offline. I can see that. So still going through taking her answers here in a cross-functional team, how it's going. Anyone wants to continue? Manasa, we cannot hear you anymore. And it shows also in the session that you may have logged off. Who else can take it up meanwhile? Planning poker team, we have to give more answers, so we have more that we can cover. Madhuri, you're all self-muted, please. Hi, Sridhar.
Hi, Karthik. Yeah,
Yes.
this one, 14th one, poker, planning poker. Usually in the team, Scrum Master will distribute the cards to give the estimate of the story points. The cards is in our company we use 1, 3, 5 odd number, 1, 3, 5, and 8. The card So each team member, Scrum Master will give the cards to each and every team member, and Dev lead will go through all the stories, and all the team members, they will give the points based on the criticality of the application. So if there is any clash, some team members will give 3, some team members give 5, then we will discuss. So what is the best points each team member will discuss, and based on that we'll give an idea what is the best points to that story. And if it is more than 8, then we will split into 2 user stories.
All references around similar to go.
Your voice is
Some
breaking.
estimates. Give me a. Basically, if we will split, and if all responses are still under 8, but everyone, let us say, gave a 3 or a 5, then we are okay with it. And if some estimates are way off, sorry, 1 second. We have to do the re-estimation on the same, right? Way off, discuss, and reveal, or whatever you say. Is that all like something like that?
Yes, Karthik.
Either?
Yes.
Again unmuted. 1 second. Sorry. There you go. Yes, please.
Yes, Karthik. Yeah, as Kiran has explained, this planning poker technique is useful for giving a correct estimate. I mean, the better estimates because it's based on a mutual consensus. Usually, it's done in the under the guidance of an agile coach. It happened for us like that, and she was placing some deck of cards in front of everybody, and because typically an agile team consists of a cross-functional. It's a cross-functional team, so you'll have developers, a product owner, business analysts. We also had UX guys too, who were responsible for delivering the wireframes and for the look and feel and everything. They were also part of the team, and of course the front end and back end developers. So all of us were sitting in the room, and this all happened during the iteration planning meeting, where the coach was also present along with us, and she was placing, as I said, some deck of cards in front of us, and we were supposed to give the estimates and choose up whenever after a business analyst went through the stories and gave all the details, including the acceptance criteria. Then we were supposed to give a number, that is the estimate. So after giving the estimate, we were supposed to answer, like, I mean, what was if the of course estimates will be different, like one gives an 8, somebody gives a 5. If it's like drastically different, then you're supposed to like explain, like, why are you giving such a high number or such a low number, and it's basically you're supposed to agree on a number, and that is how an estimate would be finalized for a particular story. As Kiran was mentioning, yeah, if it was a large story point like an 8, I think the capacity was something like you could take 2 large stories and another 2-point or a 3-point story, something like that. That I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So basically, it's all like playing a poker. How the poker game is played using a deck of cards. The same thing was happening in the iteration planning meetings also. Like, I think that was the planning poker technique for giving the story estimates.
Very nice. Yeah, thank you. Very good answers. It was Sridhar and Manasa, both of you on that. I think overall it tells it.
Oh, sorry, Sridhar,
Sorry?
not Kiran, sorry. Yeah, I said it was Kiran. No, sorry, Sridhar. Yeah.
Great answers, guys. Great answers. I think, see, the concept is coming clear, and if you involve in a couple of those sessions, it will be easy. Now, the deeper questions can go into why a 1, why a 2-pointer, 3-pointer, 5, or why does it come to 8? And these estimations are based on that 7 to 8 people or 10-member team, this cross-functional team. And that means that in an organization which has, let us say, 1,000 developers and QA and all this cross-functional, how many teams will we have? Maybe about 100 teams, right? With 10 in each. So the point is, the most of this poker, what is the downside, anyone, rather, of this?
Karthik, I would like to tell my view of this planning estimations.
Sure. Please.
As of now, in my experience, I never had a chance to have this planning poker type of estimation in my experience. So we always usually have the sprint planning where we discuss what points, what are the stories we are comfortable to, I mean, pick for the sprint. So developers will consider what are the good items for our sprint team according to our expertise in that area of work. So they pick the stories. So for that stories, they will give the estimation among them. They will decide and give the estimation for that story. And then Scrum Master asks about the QA points as well. Then we have in Agile teams, we have like two or three QS, not more than that. So we discuss among the test efforts depending on the estimation on the of the story by development. We can get the understanding how much test effort would be there in that particular story. So depending on that, we among QA team we discuss and provide one estimation for that particular story. That is how it happens in my team. So I never get a chance to have this like poker kind of thing, at least for my side, from my side.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. What Geeta said, actually, Karthik, like, yeah, everything is based on the expertise. Actually, here in this technique, I don't think there was any time a downside, because usually in Agile, I mean, the Agile project success, yeah, it usually depends on the expertise only of all the team members. So here, what I think, in this kind of in this kind of estimation technique, usually I don't think there was any downside, because everybody was agreeing to the, I mean, mostly it was like everybody was agreeing to what you should present, like whatever you think you should be able to I mean, give the showcase, like whatever you're giving the estimate is justifiable, like whether it's a 5-pointer or an 8-pointer, how much effort is involved. Basically, you're supposed to break down everything, and it happens in the meeting itself. And and everybody was because it's a face-to-face conversation, because it's an Agile methodology, so it was always on agreeable terms only. And usually what I felt was, like, in Agile, usually the estimations are sometimes given very vaguely, unless until, like, yeah, so yeah, you have to, like, break down the complexity of the stories, like what effort the backend developer, how much effort they have to put, how much a front end developer has to put, and if it's if an automation, yeah, is involved, how much tester has to put, and all those things. So yeah, that was how it was happening. So never really had any downside of it, but yeah, yeah, you can go for it. Thank you.
I think, see, that's the beauty of it. And any tool, see, why do people need advanced tool when basic tools work? When a human is talented enough to use advanced machines. So a regular screwdriver, anyone can use. But when it comes to a drill bit and, a little bit more heavier in mechanical stuff, you need a little hands-on training team on it. You cannot directly use it. The same with these processes, and a lot of these processes actually started with manufacturing industries, just in time, Kanban, Six Sigma, how to make things more efficient, how to make things more standardized, more pattern and expectations driven rather than keeping things random. So the planning is good. Now the good part of this is very simple. The way I look into it, okay, there are different people who have different roles, each of them. Correct? We know that who is B, a backend engineer, can look at the same wireframe and say, oh, you know what, this is easy for me. So he may put, let us say 3 or something to it. A UX person sees, oh, you know what, they have a good wireframe, but looks like it's complex in responsiveness and so on. Maybe they'll go with a 5. A QA engineer sees, I need to do additional database testing, device-based testing, cross-functional, regression. So again, there's a 5. The BA thinks, you know what, simple requirements. So this is where the estimations come. The advantage, at least, is everyone is looking at the same user story, hopefully with a wireframe, and coming up with their estimations. And if there's something deviating, let's discuss. Because what that will do, this is plan 1, for example, a poker plan 1. Then when we do the next poker plan 2, we already have an experience in the back end of how the first one ran. So we can see this is how typically we did. The teams were way apart to begin with, but as we built experience to work on small agile teams, we now got better and better at this game. Makes sense? I'm just trying to add more to the whole thing. And from an estimation metrics, yes, sorry, you saying something?
Yes, Karthik. I mean, it depends on the knowledge of the person who is working on that particular story also. For example, if I am working in a organization for 3 years and I know the in and out of that application, what it is dependent on. So if I know that, I can quickly work on that. If a person who joined recently may not understand the criticality of the project or the feature of that, so they may feel that it is like 5-pointer. I may feel that it is just only 2-pointer. That is when we come together and discuss. So
And it's a good
we can
point to
come
discuss.
into
Where seniors, juniors, everyone, and that's the point in Agile. We play our jobs, we play our roles.
correct.
Okay. Very nice. So Shalan,
Then BA or Scrum Master, they come to the agreement. Okay, I can understand the knowledge base of yours, so let's go in between. Like that, it happens.
Correct. Exactly. That is true. That is true. And it's a great learning for newcomers and also for the seasoned people to see how they can grow teams. Otherwise, even becoming a UX engineer or QA person will say, you know what, too tough for me because I don't even know the functionalities or the team members. They'll start putting everything as 7 or 8 and so on. It becomes irrelevant. Then we sit down, we groom them again. People, we see, okay, let's do better line. This is how. These are the things that are important. Now, metrics of estimation team. Primarily, there are a couple of things. One is person hours. Very basic estimations, I'm saying. Okay. Number of people times number of hours required. So let us say, for an example, I have 5 members working for 2 weeks. How much is it, team? Can someone tell me person hours? 5 people working for 2 weeks, 10 working days. What would be the answer?
Ten into 5, I can say, if we consider average hour per day is 5. I mean,
so see, look at it this way: 5 people times 2 weeks. That's equal to 10 working days. Correct?
And 8 days per hour. Correct. Yeah.
Equal to
8 hours per day.
8 star, yes, 10. That's equal to 80 hours, right, team? So the answer is 80 star 5. How much? Anyone thinking 160 by any chance? So that's 400% hours, team. So this isn't one type of an estimation. I'm no sorry, I have the background. I'll erase this.
Do we need to estimate all 8 hours per day, Karthik?
Typical, yes. Let's say we're talking about typical 8 hours if we're doing in case of estimation. Okay. Actual may be for 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours. But again, see, when we do project estimation, we do it for 8 hours, and then we
Correct.
try and keep it 50% buffer over the estimation. So that's more like couple of models that come up. Fixed price, where tell the cost, take care of the team members. So as the works get outsourced from the major client to smaller IT organizations or larger ones, that becomes more important. The next is T&M, time and material. This is where you bill based on timesheets. You're expected to work at certain times, and there's a responsibility that comes in. So these have to go into building. This is just the basics team, how we have to start the estimation. Then user stories, and how do we take a story to estimate? That's something you have to really work a little bit more. See here, have you done your user story mapping and estimation stories in your projects? But team, I don't want to go into this question right away. I still want to stay here. There's some good things that are coming here. So thank you, team. Some nice answers. And very well presented, everyone. The way you're speaking about the answers. Very good. Please add more than the pseudo fixed price or hybrid models. Okay, so this is for larger project estimations, team. When it comes to more agile and Scrum, how do we do? You have to talk. What are the other questions that I can ask, or you can answer, team? Let's not pick up any other new questions. Anyone else wants to add to increment, or what is Scrum of Scrums? Anyone who wanted to be unmuted but I did not? Let me know, please.
Karthik, what, in your perspective, what exactly this increment mean? Is it increment and iterative model you mean to say?
Incrementing in whatever, either model. So it could be any of the 3 models that you're seeing as an implementation, but more in terms of how do we, when we talk about increment in your agile sprints. Okay. So how are we doing? How are the requirements being broken down? Or are we doing a prototyping, like a proof of concept first? Or we're going to go into spiral where we already know how typically the application behaves, or something that is in between. So even if you say agile increment, value of incremency. So more of a agile increments, that is what we call. So these 3 models primarily talk about some of how we can. Yes, that's the. So see, the key aspect is very simple, team. We are getting all the benefits out of Agile by breaking them down into smaller pieces. We put them together into large works. What is Scrum of Scrums? how can we do incremental? So can increments be each one be one sprint release or so on? How can we talk about that? And user story mapping and estimation of stories. So a little bit more on how we are rating each of it. What are those XYZ that's making those films? Team, I have another session starting soon. I don't have anything more. Let's continue tomorrow. We'll maybe finish up a few more that's left here, and let's get into more automation. Yeah, and if you find any interesting questions, let us know more. We can bring it up to the forum and we can get some good answers through it too. All right, everyone, then take care. Have a good day. I'll see you back tomorrow. Thank you so much for this amazing participation. You're doing fantastic. Thank you. Thank you all of those who participated, and hope everyone else get a chance to speak tomorrow.
Karthik, we
Take
couldn't
care.
discuss.
Bye all.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Karthik,
go
we
ahead.
couldn't discuss the downside of the planning poker. If someone can help us with that.
So team has to tell me. Have people so far they're saying it's all looks good, but when we're doing poker planning, the biggest downside is we are trusting. Okay, is team member skill or expertise, not just on tech, but also on domain, the AUT, that becomes important. And sometimes, you know, I have seen overestimations happen because it's very simple, right? You can cheat in poker from my side. If a developer, everyone will put their cards, I'll not see, but I typically will know over a period of time who plays how. So I can always try and play safe because I know that we can get into discussions and further do. But I want to see, so that is why most of the estimations, unless you sit into an agile team almost a daily basis, rigorously, it gets more as a process team rather than becoming a very principled, okay, sit down, let's do poker on planning on this. What others I want to hear from the other members as well. What did we see? Downside of playing poker. If you say downside of
You were
playing
adding
poker,
some. Yeah, you were telling something like if the team size is very big, or it's a huge project wherein there are thousands or something like that, 1,000 members, then how will it be taken forward, this poker method?
so see, that is where your scrum of scrums will come into place. Okay, so I have a scrum 1 team here, I have a scrum 2 team here, maybe there are 20 scrum teams like that. Just give you an example. Each has their own cross function. Okay, maybe, you know, couple of scrum teams or few scrum teams could use like UI or UX in common and so on. So each one is coming up with their own planning, poker planning, or whatever way they want to plan to develop and release their user stories. And how do all of these scrums come together as a larger scrum, become the scrum of all scrums? Sometimes we also call it parent or a master scrum. So this eventually tries to plug everything together from different scrums into it. So the bigger challenge is someone who's sitting at the scrum of scrums as a scrum master, all the individual group members and so on, scrum masters from there. They all cannot give easily the poker planning. How will they submit as to, oh, this guy rolled a 3 on the dice, they did a 5 on the estimation, and so on and submit. Easily they can submit an Excel sheet, they can submit a Jira report, they can submit their defects or, you know, documentations, everything. So these don't filter on. So what I have seen is this: some of these groups work in Solace, and only this team is doing planning poker, and this team is planning poker. Maybe some other teams here. Not every team necessarily has to do a planning of poker, poker planning for estimation. That's just a methodology. Teams, I've seen that getting distorted. Now, it is all based on how the drill down is from the top. If the sum of scrums wants us to have this as a religious process, then we can document even this, poker planning, what happened, how we're estimating. Someone has to analyze that data at the end of it. It's how we are improving. So what was your question? I forgot the question also through my longer answer, but going back to this document.
Downside of the poker planning.
And what is the Scrum of Scrum? So again, not necessarily that only planning poker is one of the things here. I'm just showing one of the things that can happen. Scrum of Scrums is an important thing to observe, very critical to get a perspective. So if your organization is just 20 members, overall IT team, maybe you have only one Scrum team. As it grows, you'll have this larger Scrum of Scrums. What else? Agile manifesto and principles. I think this is a little bit more pointers, but important to write them. And I do not think that I got all the points of a good agile tester yet. See, some of the things are analytical skills, especially business analysis and team management a little bit. These are very, very interactive roles, team. So good, but we'll keep building on this. I'll see you all tomorrow then. Not tomorrow. At least the Java Python will start in a few minutes. JPACT, I'll see you all tomorrow. Please keep preparing slowly, one after the other. If you can, a few more here, or just I want you the basics on Selenium IDE, WebDriver, and a grid. At least from what they do, what is the purpose, ups and downs, and so on. I want someone, if possible, to explain frameworks and the different type of frameworks that there are. And then we go into the other questions. All right, thanks everyone. I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye all. Thank you so much for this participation. Thank you.